All right, folks, welcome back to the Purple Friday show. My video is acting funky right now, so I'm just going to do audio for right now. Maybe it'll get better as the show goes forward. But you're mainly here today, talking obviously about that Ravens win, wild card win against the Pittsburgh Steelers on what was that, Saturday?
Yep.
So look, phenomenal win by the Ravens. I can't say enough about what they did. It's a complete game. That did get scared a little bit from, was it Marvin Sims, the punt returner? I think that was that one play where he's literally trying to track the ball and it goes over his shoulder. And that's the one thing you don't do. Like if you got to turn your body to go catch the thing, just let it drop, man. Just let it drop.
Yeah.
Don't even try to return that thing. And then I think the rest of the game, he was making some. He just at that point was like didn't trust his hands enough. There were some places he probably could have fielded a lot better, but he was like, I'm just gonna let it bounce. It is what it is. But the Ravens did their thing, as far as drives. I think they had like a 75-yard drive, had an 85-yard drive, 90 yards. Didn't really matter. The Ravens kind of did what they wanted to do to the Steelers in this game, putting up 299 yards of rushing offense. I think they said the Ravens at like 4 minutes or so left to go in the third quarter had 250 yards of rushing offense in that game. So the Ravens could have easily put up like another 100. It could have been 350 if they wanted it to be. But by that point in the game, it was pretty much over. It was pretty much a wrap. I will say, I think one of my favorite parts of that game was I think when the Steelers had answered. Well, I think that it was like 20. It was either 14-7 or 21-7. I think the Steelers had answered. And then I saw Lamar on the sideline. I kind of hyped the guys up like, that's fine. That's cool. It's okay. Let's just go back out there and score. Let's go answer. And that's exactly what they did. They went there and answered. I don't know about you, but it felt like for a good chunk of the first quarter, I was trying to remember a time when Lamar even threw the football. Like every time I looked up, Lamar was carrying the ball. I think he had like eight or nine carries alone. It felt like in the first quarter. So they were establishing from the get-go, we're going to run this football all day on you. And, Derrick Henry ended up getting his carries towards the end of the game. He had the nice stiff arm to make it Fitzpatrick. And you saw, I think by the end, I think around halftime, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, like Patrick Queen, they were gassed, completely gassed. Like they had nothing left. And it was just at that point, it was curtains after that. The Ravens, got Mark Andrews the ball, got Likely the ball in space, who made a great stiff arm play. But yeah, the Ravens literally did whatever they wanted to. Shout out to, Monken calling a phenomenal game, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. A game a lot of us were a little nervous about because this is a third matchup with our hated rivals and stuff. And but also shout out to Rosengarten playing a really good game at right tackle. Didn't allow TJ Watt to cause much of a problem. It looked like at some point in the game TJ had a problem with his hand or with his thumb or something like that. And they didn't miss Zay too much in the game. Again, there wasn't a whole bunch of passing. I think Lamar only threw like 21 times in the game. So, I mean, that's the formula, right? If the Ravens can run over 25 times, get over 25 to 30 rushes, and Lamar only has to throw 20 to 25 times in the game, I mean, it sounds like the Ravens are just going to win most games. Yeah, and what I also like to, from the beginning, because I remember in the Texans game, that first half against the Texans, the Ravens looked a little shaky. It wasn't until halftime they finally like, all right, let's go win the game. Forget about how it looks. Let's just go win the football game. That's what they did in the second half. But we saw from the first play on, the confidence they had in the game plan, and Lamar not hesitating at all. I don't think I saw Lamar hesitate at all when he was deciding whether to go or whatever. And before I turn it over to you, the one play I love, I don't know how much it went for. I think it went for a first down, but the one play I loved was when TJ Watt was crashing down and he would immediately just hit Derrick Henry, but then Lamar had the ball, like complete fake out, and no one was there on the right side to really stop him. That was like, to me, when you have a successful run game, and why people have talked about even in the beginning of the season what this threat could look like with Lamar and Derrick Henry, and how hard it is to actually defend against. You got the speed from Lamar, but at the same time, you got to deal with the speed and physical strength of Derrick Henry. Not to mention on short and goal or short yardage situations, they put in Pat Ricard in there. They put Pat Ricard in there. and you got a 300-pounder, you got a 300-pounder and a 250-pounder running right up the middle. So that's going to be tough for anybody to defend. So look, shout out to them. Defense played a phenomenal game. Oweh got a key sack, I think, in that one of those plays. It was like third and 8 or whatever, and the Steelers were driving a little bit, but Oweh got a key sack, and they had to force them to punt. And yeah, they just did a phenomenal game plan from everybody. I said outside of the punt return is specialist.
A little shaky.
Everything else, special teams, everything else seemed to work pretty fine. So, what did you think about the game?
Yeah, man. You said it. It was phenomenal game plan, phenomenal execution of the game plan. I mean, I think everybody had to know what the game plan was going to be coming in to this game against Buffalo at home. But, you know, they executed that to a T. I mean, this was bully ball at its finest, Ravens football, AFC North January football. We just literally, Steelers knew what we were going to do. They just couldn't do nothing about it, unfortunately. And you mentioned TJ Watt and how they were just kind of crashing the running back. Yeah, they tried that several times. And actually, that was the assignment. They told TJ Watt to crash down on Derrick Henry no matter what Lamar Jackson does every time. And they were forced, or the instruction was to force Lamar to make a decision and force Lamar to beat you, which it didn't turn out being the brightest of ideas. So it was just a complete dominant effort from our offense, from the offensive line blocking. Lamar did not have to throw the ball a lot, but when he did, he had time. He did create additional time in that goal line touchdown pass. I think it was to Justice Hill when Lamar actually had Bateman wide open in the end zone, but he missed them, and he still was able to create a play right before the half with only 11 seconds left and get that touchdown out to Justice Hill to score the touchdown right before the half ended. So that was just some of this, the magic that Lamar creates on a week-to-week basis. And, Derrick Henry, a lot of his success has been predicated on Lamar. I said this last week. A lot of the pundits are saying how this MVP is, a lot of it's because, he has Derrick Henry in the backfield. But a lot of Derrick Henry's success, like I said before, is because of what Lamar Jackson is doing in the pocket and what he's doing as far as taking attention away from defenders. So it goes both ways. And you saw that on Saturday, and full-fledged primetime 8 o'clock game. It did not disappoint. Derrick Henry was just running straight through them fools. Nobody on that Steelers defense could do anything about it. They caught stiff arms. They were getting ran over. It was just a sight to see. I mean, seeing Isaiah Likely with that stiff arm to that poor defender, the guy's head bounced off of the turf, and it was just a point in the game where you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, this game is over. Even before it was over, we knew it was over, just based on not only just how the game was going, but the body language of the Steelers. They just kind of took everything from them. They were gassed. They were almost uninterested after a while because they just had enough of Derrick Henry, had enough of Lamar Jackson. So they had a bunch of clips of Cam Hayward on the sideline just on a knee, and he was just through. Like, they just took everything they had, and I think the Steelers really did come in there thinking they had a game plan to slow us down, and it just didn't work. They do not have the guys. They do not have the guys to hang with us, and it kind of showed itself. And like I said, the few times we didn't have to pass the ball much, but what really impressed me was when we did have to pass the ball. Lamar made some phenomenal throws in this game. It may not be simple. It may not have been like, eye-popping, highlight-worthy passes, but if you break it down and rewatch that game, that touchdown pass to Rashad Bateman in the end zone, phenomenal. I mean, he actually threw Rashad Bateman open in that play. It was kind of like a route where Tylan Wallace kind of like drew a lot of safety attention, and he got Bateman over the top, coming across the middle. Bateman was not even open when the ball left Lamar's hands, but he threw him open in that play. So things like that is kind of what got us here. Just obviously running the ball and, play action. And just shout out to the offensive line who stepped up huge in this game, keeping clean pockets for Lamar to go in and do what he do. And like I said, just the attention that he attracted alone, you can't beat that. And that's the energy we're going to need going into this Buffalo game in Buffalo coming up. And defensively, lights out, lights out. I mean, the only concern that I have has been kind of my concern, for the last few games, is Brandon Stevens. I mean, you know, he was just he's just always out of position.
Yeah.
And even when he's in position, he can't find the football. It's like a chronic illness. Like it's something that's plaguing his game. And if I had a 1 week link going into this next week is, Brandon Stevens and what's going to be our plan, to make sure that he's in his correct spots. I know in the one play that he got burned, I think it was that George Pickens that burned him for the touchdown,
That
or
was
was that
Van Jefferson, I think.
Van Jefferson?
Touchdown. Yeah.
Van Jefferson touchdown. In that sense, I think Kyle Hamilton was over there as well, but there was some pre-snap communication where it seemed like Kyle Hamilton told him to make sure he gets back, and he just didn't get back in time, man. And you got Van Jefferson burning you up, like it's a problem. And then we've seen it multiple weeks, and he's been really the low point out of all these good games we've played in the last several weeks. Brandon Stevens, unfortunately, has been the low point. So hopefully he can get his act together for this next week, or either we figure out a plan to kind of supplement coverage over there. But outside of that, man, I really have no complaints. We've been, getting pressure on the QB. Like you said, Owe got that crucial sack in the game as well. And outside of that, we pretty much locked down, man. Pretty much locked down. Nothing. Can't say anything bad about what I saw, what was displayed on Saturday. Hopefully we take this momentum with us because we're going to need it in that, ice cold game we're about to have in upstate, up in Buffalo. But outside of that, man, Steelers are done. They're cooked. Blow it up. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't got the guys. That
No.
offense ain't it. I've been saying that offense ain't it. And things like that, you can mask it for a while, but when it comes playoffs, the truth comes out and the real comes out, and they just can't hang with us this year. So shout out to the Ravens, shout out to that offense, shout out to that lockdown defense that's been pretty much top number one in almost every category since the bye week. Shout out to the coaches, shout out to Zachary Orr calling an awesome game, shout out to Todd Monken for calling an awesome game, shout out to Harbaugh for not blowing the game and calling meaningless challenges and meaningless timeouts. And let's keep it rolling. But all in all, great football, great dominant win. We need the same thing next week.
Yeah, I think I was going to mention you talking about the Van Jefferson touchdown. Like in pre-snap, we saw Kyle like doing hand motions. I don't know if Brandon didn't look back and see Kyle or something. And at that point, I guess it was just too late. And then as soon as he scored a touchdown, Kyle's like he just like threw his hands and he's like pointing like I told you. And I think that's got to be something that's got to be looked at the end of the year, right? What happened from last year to this year? Last year, Brandon Stevens was looked like one of the best cover cornerbacks in the NFL, and he's reverted just back to his old ways. I don't know what happened to him because he's always usually that right there. What happened to him is on that play is usually an anomaly. He doesn't get beat on a lot of those plays. He's usually right. It's always the plays where he's in coverage and he just
misses the football.
Doesn't put his hand in the right place to knock the ball down or get a pick. Like it's usually those kind of plays.
Is at all.
Yeah. So it's like he usually doesn't get beat on those kind of plays. So look, at this point in the year, going divisional playoffs, it kind of is what it is. So I guess the only person that I guess scares you in those situations is I guess Matt Collins, maybe Khalil Shakir, with how they use him, in those kind of situations. But with the way Kyle have been playing and how Darius Washington have been playing, they don't give up a lot of those. And that was one of those rare instances where I did kind of bite them in the butt. But they came again. The Ravens came back right after that drive, and Ravens go in and scored. They played great complementary football in that football game. And like you said about Harbaugh, I think Harbaugh has been really hands off in a lot of these games lately. You notice that, I don't think he's been hesitant to pull the flag, hesitant to call these weird timeouts. Like it feels like he's like, I'm just gonna let Monken and Zach and Lamar do their thing. Like I'm just gonna stay out of it. The best thing I can do is just stay out of it. Like I'm not even gonna worry about it.
Right.
So yeah, it was a phenomenal game from them. It was nice to see. Like I said, it was a game we all were hoping by the third quarter rolled around, you put your feet on the table, got a glass of whatever brown you're drinking, whatever it's Hennessy, rum, whatever, bourbon, whatever, and I felt like it was like that kind of game, So Yeah, phenomenal game out of Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, game plan. Now the question is, can they do this again? Because again, we saw this at the Texans game last year, where the second half they think they outscored the Texans like 24 points, like unscored, like one of those like it was like 10-10. I think it was 10-10 at halftime, and then the Ravens ended up winning the game like 31-10. Against the Texans in that game, but they ended up laying an egg the very next week in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So you got the Bills coming up, and so we'll get to that one a little bit later though. But as far as the Steelers are concerned, Tom has already said he's not going anywhere. TJ Watt apparently came out and said he wants, I think he's, according to his contract, he's got like one more year, but I think most of his guaranteed money's pretty much been paid already to him. So he's looking for either an extension or maybe a way out. But like you said, it may be time for them. Somebody put out like a statement about the Steelers, and it's weird how it's worded, but it makes perfect sense because it's like they said the Steelers are good enough, right? They're good enough to win 9 or 10 games a season. Not good enough with the quarterbacks they have to make a deep playoff run. But the reverse of that is because they're just good enough, they're never in the right position in the draft order to draft the QB to take them to the next level. So it's like one of those things where, we don't like it as fans, but at some point your team has to have one of those years, right? Where you go 3-13, 3, whatever. You get 3 wins, 4 wins, but it guarantees you a top 10 pick. And you go out for the next, you get the guy. And they haven't done that since Ben Roethlisberger. They've been winning 9, 10 games a year, and they're just stuck in this lull. And maybe you bring back Russell Wilson for a year. Do you see what Justin Fields has long term next year, and just kind of let the chips fall where they may? If you lose 10 plus games, it is what it is, kind of thing. It's like, a lot of Steelers fans. Look, I've been seeing some of the stuff on X and some of the fans on the radio. They're done. A lot of Steelers fans are done. Like they're done. But they just want to blow it all up now.
Listen, not every team can go back in the first round and pick their franchise quarterback at number 32.
I try to tell people that all the time. We got lucky.
Yeah.
Ozzy saw Lamar sitting there still in the draft room and nobody taking him. And he was like, might as well, right?
Yeah, the foresight.
Might as well. And now it's funny. They said if you were to redraft that draft, now Lamar would be the number 1 pick. Like it wouldn't even be close. Lamar's number 1 pick.
Easily.
He went from 32nd to now one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I think one of the guys, either Ryan Clark, Ryan Clark said it. He's like, Lamar's the standard now when it comes to QB play, especially for like dual threat quarterbacks. Like he is the standard now. You got to play like how Lamar plays. And it's just been, I think, really great to see how he's been since he got into the league. And I know a lot of Bills fans have been chirping about, last time we saw you on the playoffs, we did this to you. I'm like, yeah, that was like 4 years ago, man. That was 4 years ago, 2 MVPs ago. Like, like that. That's not this. That was that weird COVID year. Like that. Yeah, no. Like this is going to be a different thing this year. Right. But out of everybody, look, it's a weird place to be, but out of everybody in the division, the Ravens are the best set up for the next several years. The Bengals are fine because they got Joe Burrow, but with their wide receiver situation and contract stuff, that's still in flux. You don't know how that's going to work out. Cleveland's in another spot like the Steelers are. They got to blow it all up. Like it's got to go. Deshaun Watson tears his Achilles for the second time while he's already hurt. I don't know what his future is even going to be. There, his whole season's in doubt this coming season. So Nick Chubb, broke, was it his ankle or he did something again on the same foot or the same leg. So his career is also in jeopardy now because of how he runs the football. So I don't know. I say as a Ravens fan long term right now, we're in the best place you could possibly ask for. Place you could possibly ask for. Let's go talk about where are we? Well, yeah, wild card weekend happening. So we talk about some of the other games real quick. So outside of the Buccaneers Commanders game, most of these games were blowouts.
Yeah.
I don't know. They were talking about this. Like, does it does it? They were saying maybe the NFL needs to go back to just giving 2 buys, giving 2 bye weeks, like a bye week to the first seed and the second seed, and just eliminating that 16. But it's too much money involved. You know, it adds an extra game, so they're not gonna do that. But it was a lot. It was basically a lot of teams that did not deserve to be on the field with the other team. They just didn't.
Yeah, but it was also like, you know, it was still also upsets there because like that Chargers Texans game really didn't make any sense. I mean, Chargers went in, I believe, as I don't know if it's a strong favorite, but I think the Chargers were the favorite. Chargers have been playing the best leading up to that game, and for them to get blown out that way is like, I mean, I can't blame that on either team not deserving to be there or something like that. Like, you know, I think they both earned their spots there, you know, legitimately. But for Herbert to lay an egg like that is kind of crazy. Like you can't really blame the schedule makers on that one because I think, you know, if there was gonna be a blowout, I think everyone or more people would have thought that the Texans would have got blown out. But you know, kind of went the other way around.
Yeah, it was wild. Like it was just so back and forth. It was interception, fumble. It was stuck at like a tie score for like a long time. And then it's that one play they showed where CJ Stroud he fumbled the ball behind the line of scrimmage, and he gets the ball down the field to Xavier Hutchinson, I think is his name. And then from that point on, like CJ was lights out after that. But I think it's time also now. I think we've said this, but I think it's time for everybody to stop talking about Justin Herbert in that class with Joe Burrow and Lamar. And I think it's time. Like Herbert he's got the arm talent, but I mean, guys like Jay Cutler also had arm talent as well. Like there are a lot of guys that have arm talent. It's just Herbert was making some bonehead throws.
Only bail I will shoot him is that he has Quentin Johnston on his team.
he dropped 5 of his target, all 5 of his targets.
Big trash. And not only was he dropping passes, he was dropping crucial first down passes. Yeah. I was shocked that Herbert was even looking his way, honestly.
I don't think it was Lad McConkey and him. Like that's it. Like,
yeah, but that's the issue. Is like Johnston, if he could catch, he'd be a phenomenal player because he gets open.
Yeah.
But for him to drop those crucial plays, it was just like I felt bad because Herbert's throwing it to him because he needed him on those plays. Like, you know, obviously they're doubling up on Landon McConkey on most of those possessions. And he's doing what he can. He's still making plays too. But that'll be I mean, if there's any bail to give him, it'll be that. But it did. I think Disley dropped a couple.
Yeah, he did. Disley did.
Like,
yeah.
Like this was a blowout, but we, like you said, we saw how that game started. It was back and forth. It was kind of like nobody wanted to win at first, and it was anybody's game still. And, you know, Herbert, I don't think he's won a playoff game yet, but it sucks to add this game to his resume because it's kind of like, you know, he made some bad throws, yes, for sure, but his team definitely let him down more than he messed up, I think. In my opinion, anyway, just from watching it. It was just an ugly team game.
So we're on the Chargers. We're on Justin Herbert. After Dominique Foxworth said he's an elite quarterback still, no question. Hey, 2 things I gotta say about this game. One, the Texans are the most hot and cold team I have ever seen in probably the last 10 years. Like they're never just cool. They're never just average. They're always they look really good, or they look like they're tanking. That's the Texans in a nutshell.
They're going to look like that this week.
They are going to look like they're tanking this week, yeah.
Well, yeah, but that defense they balled out in that game. My God.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, hey, they have a good defensive coach. They have a really good defensive coach. But I will say, Justin Herbert, look, he's not awful. He's not bad. He's not elite. He's cool as a QB because and I don't know if you already said all this, but I shoot him a lot of bail just for the fact that his weapons, because I think 2 of those picks you put on the receivers, and I think one, it's all right, I'm just trying to make something happen at the end of this game because it's looking kind of sad out here.
Yeah.
So and he had a good season. You know, he's not a great QB, but it's hard to tell how great a QB is when Greg Roman is your offensive coordinator.
Very
True.
true.
Because
Very
like
true.
because at the same time, like Greg Roman didn't have a great game plan for that Texans defense. And I think, Greg Roman hones in on one type of player on the team, and he just feeds that player with no creativity for the other guys around him. Not saying their talent around them, but they're just Lad McConkey or bust, or Will Dissly when Will Dissly wants to catch the ball. They're that, and they don't have a run game. And Greg Roman without a run game is
Useless.
It's like you might as well not play.
Yeah.
So I got to give my man Justin Herbert some bail. But then I look at his contract and I'm like, no, I'm not giving him no bail no more. Because that contract is elite QB contract, but he's just an okay QB. He's prime Kirk Cousins, I'll say. Like in that class. Like, hey, he'll get you to the playoffs, but you definitely ain't winning the Super Bowl. That's why I look at it as Justin Herbert. On the other side, CJ Stroud, I said some things in the chat the other day about Sam Darnold. But CJ Stroud and Russell Wilson are in that class. All right? They take more sacks than an OnlyFans account. All right?
Bro.
I'm just saying. They hold the ball. They hold the ball so long. Like even with Sam Darnold. And I'll say,
Miles, can you clip that later?
Yes. I will go back and we got it.
Hey, that's gonna be our next our post.
With the promo vid.
Yeah, promo vid. But like seriously, like CJ Stroud, he does not step up in the pocket. He just holds the ball as long as possible, and he's always getting sacked in the backfield. Like it just does not make sense. Like, and I'm seeing this common trend among QBs in the NFL where they just hold the ball, but they're not playmakers. I don't look at CJ Stroud like he's a playmaker. In the right conditions, he'll make all the throws. In the wrong conditions, he cannot make the plays that are going to win you the game. So, yeah, they're getting smacked this week. I'm sorry. Kansas City defense is pretty good. They're getting smacked. So, Chargers, get you an OC. get you a running back.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some on the market. Get you an OC, get you a running back, get you another receiver. We'll see you next year.
Tough loss by them.
Herbert is so in the 2 playoff games he's played in his career so far, he's just over 50% completion percentage, and he's thrown 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So
yeah.
But yeah, based on the money, if he's still on a rookie contract, yes, like I agree with Travis. Like I was like, maybe, but I'm like, with the amount of money you're making now, I've seen Lamar do more with worse. So with what he's doing there, and like I said, with how they came into the game, like they were hanging around all game. Like there were plenty of opportunities to go take the game away from the Texans, and it was literally just who was going to wake up first, and it was just CJ Stroud. He just woke up first. But against the Chiefs at home, this may be one of those games they pull Mahomes in the third quarter. It's a little bit of a wrap. The other game we want to get to real quick, Packers-Eagles. That game was over before it even really started, for the sense that on the kickoff return, the Packers could return against. It looked like, so I'll say this. I don't know how y'all feel. I felt like based on the rule, that tackle should have been personal foul because he hit him right in the head, hit him right in the helmet. Like it was a helmet-to-helmet contact. Yeah, it forced a fumble. They didn't call it. Some people said it should have been called, but that changed the game. That was one of those situations where in Philly, you cannot. If you're the Packers, I'm pretty sure they discussed this in the locker room and how they and for bulletin board material and everything else. We cannot let the Eagles fans be in this game early, and that hit set the tone for the rest of that game. They got the fumble. went down whatever 20 yards and scored a touchdown. From that point, like it was over from that point on. Now I will give some bail to Jordan Love for the simple fact that he lost Christian Watson the week before. Then he loses Jaden Reed to what a dislocated shoulder looked like. And then Romeo Dobbs, who was wearing with the Guardian cap, gets a nasty concussion.
Yeah,
he couldn't even walk off the field on his own. Like, that's how bad that was. Like, it was a point where they had gone a commercial break. He was still on the field, and then they show him walking back. He couldn't even, like, put his feet on the ground. That's how bad of a concussion he had. Like, he lost all 3 of his pass catchers in that game. Now, mind you, I don't think any of those guys are elite pass catchers. They're good as a group, as a unit. So once those guys were gone, that was it. Like, I mean, credit to Josh Jacobs. They started passing him the football, and he was the only one really making plays out there on offense. Like, he was trying. He was trying his hardest, but it was a tough thing to deal with for the Packers in Philly. We saw AJ Brown over there reading an inspirational book. I think they said the sales for the book went through the roof. Apparently, like after they found out what book it was, like people now have bought the book because AJ Brown was reading it on the sideline. This is also a game, passing wise, it wasn't a big game for Jalen Hurts as well. Some attribute that to the fact that he was coming off concussion protocol, and a lot of times when those guys are coming off concussion, they say
same numbers he's had the last 4 or 5 weeks.
So yeah, right. And that's the thing. I think everybody else has said this for weeks, but now they want to use a concussion all of a sudden as a scapegoat, saying, "Oh yeah, that's the reason why." I'm like, they complain about passing since week 9, week 10, when AJ Brown said it. Like, they complain about the passing in this offense for all season, And look, they made the plays they needed to make, but going forward, and I think Saquon had 120 yards, I think, of rushing offense in that game as well. But at some point, Philly's got to throw the football. They got to throw the football at some point. Like, there's going to be, like, when they go face they're facing the Rams, with how the Rams played against the Vikings. If the Rams get up by 10 points early and you got to throw your way back in this game, if I would ask your Philly fans there, do you trust Jalen in this passing offense to go catch up?
Hell no.
Do you really trust right now this passing offense to go catch up, which they haven't been doing all season? Like, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Jalen hasn't been the same guy. I don't know what's been happening, but what's going on with Jalen. The last 2 years, this year and last year, he hasn't been the same guy throwing the football. Like, after that Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs, like, he's okay, but he hasn't been had that year that he had when they played Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Since then, he's just been he's been average as a passer. They really like having Saquon there. Like, you talking about who's MVP? It might be Saquon Barkley. Like, Saquon, if Saquon's not there, I don't know if the Eagles even really here right now, for real. Like,
yeah.
The defense is good. Keon Mitchell starting to struggle a little bit as a rookie. I think he's not used to playing this long because usually you're back in school at this time, so like the rookie stuff starting to set in. But he's letting some stuff go as well. But overall, the defense still been playing really, 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 really well. They're doing the brotherly shove. I'm not going to say the other phrase on this show. They're doing the brotherly shove, for a first down and continue to do that. But like we saw even last year at some point, I'll say this: the way that Rams defense was playing, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, they got past Green Bay because Green Bay just through attrition just fell apart. But next week may be an issue.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because the Rams defense, that's probably the best I've seen them look all year, and I don't know if they can keep that up against this Eagles team. Not that the offense is that high powered or anything, but their running game is still serious. Like, Jalen Hurts, he's been throwing for probably like between 100 and 130 yards for like the past several weeks, and that's all they've needed to get the win. So I mean, if he does just enough, just to make the defense respect the pass a little bit, that's usually enough for Saquon Barkley to go off. But even with that, I think their big thing right now is defense. I mean, their defense has been ferocious. I mean, that D-line is just unfair, honestly. And, I think the thing with the Rams is what they need to make sure they do is protect Matt Stafford because we all know what Matt Stafford looks like when he's under duress. It doesn't look good. So I think if they can somehow keep him clean, I think that'll be the biggest shot for the Rams. And then, because if he's able to get that offense cooking, then, we're talking about, they could run away with it. But with the fact that the offense is not as high powered as what the Eagles offense used to be, seeing as though I feel like teams now are kind of playing them a little bit one dimensional and kind of daring Jalen Hurts to make plays. But that's probably going to be the game plan for the Rams going into this one. But I can honestly see this game going either way. I do think the Eagles are probably going to get the win on this one. I think it probably still will be a close game, but I just have a feeling that this game is in Philly, correct?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's hard to go up in Philly and get a win, especially an NFC indoor team, just to go into Philly and do the same thing. I just can't see it happening this week against them. And I think it's going to come down to Matt Stafford. And like I said, if he's under pressure, which I think he will be, he's not going to look like he did this past week. I think we're going to see another Matt Stafford. So, there's also January football. The temperature is going to be a lot different than what they enjoyed up there in Arizona this past week. It's just too many factors going against LA. The trip, the flight over, like it's just, I think it's just too much against them. And even though they have a lot of talent and a lot of weapons over there offensively, I just don't know how much they can sustain that if Matt Stafford is under pressure.
Hey, I just want to say this. Trey, did you get like a ring light or a new camera or something, man? You looking extra crispy over there. Like you got a different type of internet than us.
Bro, I got a new laptop.
Oh, the laptop is bright. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's just the laptop.
The filters.
Man, you got like 8K over there.
Hey, man, I had wifey got me a new MacBook.
Look, I'm looking like I could disappear.
Right.
You're looking crispy, 8K. I ain't mad at it.
I guess the specs is upgraded on this MacBook, man. I don't know, but shout out to wifey.
All right. So, look, I think it was like Dan Orlovsky who, is a Josh Allen Glazer, but I'll let that slide for this topic. Dan Orlovsky said a while back, if this Rams team gets healthy, they can make a run. And they went from being under 500 team to making a run. And they're scary. They are scary. I don't think the Vikings game was like an anomaly at all. Granted, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold. But they play good defense. They have pass catchers all around. Like Puka Nacua is looking like a top 5 receiver in this league. Maybe top 3, but I might be reaching. But the way he catches the ball, the way he runs it, like just with power, is insane. And Matt Stafford isn't turning the ball over, so they're looking scary. They're looking very scary. Look, I know they're going to Philly. I know everything you said, Trey. I'm with you on that. But I think if the Rams come out with the same synergy they came out with the Vikings, the Eagles are in trouble. Because like Miles said, they got to pass the ball at some point. And I don't think Jalen Hurts could do it. I don't think he could do it at all. I just don't think he has it in him. His throwing was questionable in college. His throwing was questionable in the draft. I don't think he can throw. He can make make championship quarterback throws unless the conditions are perfect. He's in that mode where he can't make those throws unless the conditions are perfect, and the conditions are not perfect in Philly. He's under duress at times. There's times where he has to throw a receiver open. He has to fit the ball in the tight spaces. Like, I don't think that's a strength of his. And I think his coaches realize that. So they're going to keep running the ball, brotherly shove here, brotherly shove there. Like, that's what they're going to do because they realize it. And I think if the Rams come out and they put points on the board, Philly will not be able to keep up with that. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout, but I think the Rams come out with energy and they're clicking. I think the Rams could take this game. I honestly think the Rams can make the Super Bowl. As crazy as it sounds, this team, the way they're clicking right now, like, you know, like we've seen teams before who just like they start clicking like 2 weeks before the playoffs and they just go on a run. The Giants, the second time they played Brady, they came out of nowhere to make that run. So it's happened before, and this Rams team is very much like that Giants team, that Eli Manning team. So I think they can take it.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. I don't know if people have forgotten that. Like, it's not impossible to win a Super Bowl from the wild card seed. Like, I don't know what people have forgotten over recent memory, but several teams have won Super Bowls from the wild card seed. I think that's the one thing I don't like about what the media is doing now. Like, kind of just discounting some of these teams. Like, they were discounting the Rams. Like, I think Rex, what was it? Not was it the Texans? When Rex Ryan said, "Oh, the Chargers got a bye week by playing the Houston Texans," and Joe Mixon did like the smoking a cigar after the game, you know, said smoking that Rex Ryan pack or whatever, because they basically just discounted them the fact that, oh, the Chargers got a bye game. Like, it's the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Team gets hot at the right time. You just take a unifying moment, whatever that may be. Teams can use that and propel themselves to championship football. Like, so I'm not going to discount anybody that's in the playoffs right now, unless you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the Vikings play. That man probably lost $30 million in that game. Before that game, he was on track to get $50+ million. He's probably now closer to like maybe 25, 30, maybe if that. They really have to, like, the way he played, not just that game, but that Lions game too. Like, it felt like he just, I think I told you guys in the group chat, it felt like it was Space Jam. Like, whatever juice, whoever's talent he took for like 14, 15 weeks wore off. Like, because he just became old Sam Darnold again. And I think I'll say this for the Vikings, it probably makes the decision a lot easier. Like, we're gonna go with JJ next year. We're gonna go with JJ. Like, winning 14 games and getting bounced in the wild card round is nasty. Winning 14 games and getting bounced wild card round is just embarrassing. Justin Jefferson on the side, like, and that's the other thing. You've now deprived us of another week where we can't see Justin Jefferson in the playoffs. One of the best wide receivers. Two of the best wide receivers in the game are now not in the playoffs. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So it just goes to show, like, look, I said, I think last week, I was like, I think that, you know, the fires in LA and the rallying around the city, and, you know, they got family and friends that live there and stuff like that. I think that at least for that game, that propelled them to a victory, I think, in that game. Because I think a lot of people didn't have them winning. Everybody had the Vikings winning that game. And then the Rams went out there, especially on defense, and just gave Sam Darnold hell. They just gave him hell. Like, I think he got sacked like 9 times? They set a record. They set a playoff record 9 times.
It was bad.
He got sacked for almost 100 yards. He lost almost 100 yards in sack yards. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So, like I said, some of that was on the line, but when you look back at some of those plays, like you said, like you guys said, like, you know, guys, like you said, Travis, like, these quarterbacks holding on to the football, just holding the football for whatever reason. And Sam Darnold, again, is a statue. He's not a playmaker. He's not going to move. Mm-hmm. You know, they can get to him easily. So the Rams move on in that situation. And then the other game we're going to talk about here before we talk about the Bills Broncos, Commanders Buccaneers. Probably the most competitive game of the weekend for sure. And it really kind of came down to that fumble. The Buccaneers had the ball in the fourth quarter with I think it was around 2 minutes left in the game, or under 2 minutes in the game. Had a chance to go down the field, I think kick a field goal and go win the football game. And Baker Mayfield, they ran some kind of, I don't know if it was an option play or a jet sweep or something. And it was one of those timing plays too. Like McMillan is literally right behind him while he's getting the snap from the center. But by the time that he tries to go back and either fake the ball, it just hits his elbow because McMillan either ran that either too early or the snap was too late. Not sure which one happened, whatever. But those kind of plays in that kind of situation is one of those things as a coordinator, like, let's not run that play. We gotta have it plays for this drive. Those plays that we're gonna get yardage on. We're not trying to do anything that could potentially cost us to lose this game. And they got the fumble. Look, the Commanders get the fumble, and then Gonzalez, who was clearly nervous, getting ready to kick that field goal. He tried to put on his helmet like 3 times. He was like, wipe his hair. He's like, he was nervous. He didn't see him shaking or anything, but that man was nervous.
little ritual. That
he was nervous.
He
kicks that thing and hits the right upright, and it goes in. Of course. But the Commanders been winning a lot of their games like that this year. I'll give credit. Look, Jaden Daniels, like Lamar Jackson, the reason why I think the Commanders have been in a lot of these games is if it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, whatever, Jaden has no problem with just taking the ball and running for 8 yards. He's getting the first downs, keeping the drive alive. If the ball's not guys stepping up like Zacchaeus or whatever, Alamond, I think I can't pronounce his first name, but Zacchaeus, wide receiver catching, being crucial for them later down the stretch in these games. The defense playing pretty good football for the most part. Dan Quinn has those guys ready to play. They do. So shout out to them for winning a very competitive football game, but they got to go play Detroit this week. And I think they get Dave Montgomery back too. Washington's okay. They're good. I don't know if they can really deal with that. If Montgomery's back 100% and you got Jahmyr Gibbs too, that 1-2 punch will be tough to defend. And then who do you have for Amon-Ra St. Brown? Who do you have for Laporta? The Ben Johnson does a really good job of making sure Jared Goff gets the ball out in time. They're not going to have, they're going to have the problem the Vikings had. Like, they do a really good job of getting that ball out in 3 seconds or less. Do a really good job of doing that. But then again, look, the Commanders been winning some weird ways this year. If they find a way to keep that game close, watch out.
So Bobby Wagner don't get trucked like he did by another quarterback.
I'll say the Bobby Wagner, look, his feet wasn't. I don't think he expected that to happen.
Hey, man, he ran up on him. And it ain't go the way he think it was going to go. So hope they'll run up in Detroit with that energy. He gonna have to come a little stronger with that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a be Wag too. Like he
12-time Pro Bowler. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a great game. It kind of sucks sometimes when you just see a great game just end off of an error like that.
Yeah.
But and what do you say about Baker? Like, I mean, I don't really have negative things. Baker is who he is at this point. It's not like, he's not a young buck in this league. He's been around for a while. He's going to make his mistakes, but he's going to put up numbers at the same time.
Yeah.
This team had a phenomenal run game for the majority of the season, but, they've been notoriously getting off the slow starts and, picking it up later. But, this type of stuff comes to bite you in games like this. And it kind of did the same, but it was an epic battle. Jaden Daniels is just simply the rookie of the year. And, they would just, Buccaneers was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. I mean, they just met a really, really good matchup in the Commanders. And Jaden Daniels got guys that you didn't even think about looking like stars in this league. So shout out to him. Shout out to that team. And, it's going to be a lot more interesting in Detroit than a lot of people are going to give Jaden credit for. But, this is going to be a good game. This is going to be a good game. And I can't wait to see it. Hopefully they don't get ran out the stadium. I'm hoping they don't. I do want to see a good game. But, I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders, give them a run for their money. I wouldn't.
Yeah, the Commanders getting run out that stadium, man. I'm not even
He's like, I'm gonna
They're getting run out that stadium.
I gotta give him some grace.
I'm
man.
not. Look, man,
I get
Jaden
it.
Daniels, you had a great season, buddy, but you're not going to be able to keep up with that offense. You better hope Jared Goff throws 5 picks. You better hope, and they still might win.
It won't be his. I don't think it'll be his fault though. If they don't lose,
No.
if they
It
don't
won't
win,
be.
it'll be because of that defense. It won't be because of that. Because of
Yeah, look. What you gonna do with Jahmyr Gibbs, man? He hasn't gotten enough credit for the season he has.
Yeah.
He has had a season similar to like Joe Mixon, Saquon, and Derrick Henry. Not with the numbers, but just the eye test. Just the eye test. He didn't get the same amount of touches, carries, but the kid gets 20 to 30 yards receiving a game, sometimes more.
He gets busy.
I mean, he breaks play. He makes plays, and I'm like, what the heck? You know, he ain't reverse hurdle nobody, but he makes plays. I'm like, what the heck? And if you're inserting David Montgomery, who's just going to run over everybody in sight,
Right.
like, what is Washington going to do with that? What are they going to do with that? Then you throw in Amon St. Rob Brown, who is the slot genius. What they going to do with him?
Yeah.
Laporta. And don't let me forget Jameson Williams with the 4.3 speed going over top. Like, they have weapons galore.
Right on turf.
And they got Tim Patrick. And
Crazy.
man, they just been picking people up off the street all year. But and that's before we get the defense where Kerry Joseph has been playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
You got Brian Branch. Like,
that safety,
man, that team is
really good.
crazy.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is in for a day. He's in for a day.
Team as
He's going to have to play a perfect game for them to have a chance. Like, when I say perfect game, I don't mean like mistake free. I mean like he is going to have to play a statistical game of his life, making big throws, big plays with his legs. Like, he is going to have to carry that team. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they are going to get ran out of that stadium. I think this is going to look like Buffalo and Denver. That's where I see this game going. And Detroit's fired up. The city's behind them. The energy is there. Like, Detroit, it may get ugly on what is it, Saturday?
Yeah, I think they play Saturday.
If that happens, it'll be interesting, man, because we never seen Jaden Daniels like riled up. We never seen him
like flustered, like
we never seen
high
him
or low, right? He's just
like,
been even.
I don't think we've seen Jaden Daniels get blown out in a game. So like if what you're saying is going to happen, it'll be the first time we've seen
he's been
how he reacts to that type of situation, because I think that's been the positive. That's been the best part about Jaden Daniels, is that he's kept a level head in these games. It doesn't seem like he gets nervous. It doesn't seem like he gets too hyped. Like, he like settles down that offense, and no matter what the situation is, you always feel like they're in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do run him out the stadium, but I would still be interested. That'll still be something for me to see, just to see how he's reacting to it if it does happen.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, because I think the only game they've lost by more than like 8 points was the first game of the season.
Yeah, which is understandable.
So,
first game.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm worried about with Jaden is the way he runs the football. He takes too many shots. They be hitting him good too. Like, he takes too many shots.
Killed.
There was that one play out of bounds. That one play out of bounds.
Good.
Any given Sunday.
No,
They
it
hit
was
him good.
that one play out of bounds.
That's
where
the
they
play.
launched him into the air. Like, he got launched.
Yeah, it was
and
sick.
he got his body went all contorted. Like,
My man, face was bleeding. Bro, come on now.
Y'all had he had a Nelly cut. He had to go get the little Nelly band-aid on it.
Like, he need to learn to get out of either slide or get out of bounds, man. That's the only thing I'm worried about with him, and especially they're going to be playing on turf, which is there's no forgiveness, a lot in these dome stadiums with the ground that they play on. So it's not like you in like grass where you can just bounce off of it and be okay. Like, he's got to learn to slide. Like, he takes too many where he dives head first or whatever, and he's like getting hit in the ribs, he's getting hit in the shoulders. Like,
That was his not
man.
coming into the draft. That's what everybody was saying coming into the draft because he took a lot of those hits at LSU.
Yeah, like
that's what he's known for.
Chill.
He won't be able to take a lot of them hits in the NFL.
Yeah. So I'm like, if that happens, I feel like if that happens in the game early, or like Anzalone or Branch or one of them, look, I know they don't headhunt anymore, but I guarantee you Dan Campbell's probably telling them like, look, you see Jaden Daniels open field, you hit him as hard as you possibly can. Like
pause.
Pause. Like it's like they want. I guarantee you in the first, when the Commanders get the ball first and Jaden Daniels takes off, they're going to set a tone. Yeah. The Detroit defense is going to set a tone very early. And I think, like you guys said, then with Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery, I just don't see, like, Brian Robinson's cool, and we got Austin Eckler, but he's not really a 3-down back or anything. Like they used him a few times in that Tampa Bay game, but not a lot. And I just feel like the fact that Detroit can they can hand the ball off 30 times and split carries with Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And I just looked at the stat. Jahmyr Gibbs is tied with Derrick Henry and James Cook for most rushing touchdowns this season by running backs. So I just don't know. It may be one of those games where it's like at halftime, it looks close. Like it's like, oh, this is a competitive game. But I think that the Commanders defense just get worn down. I just don't think they'll be able to defend Montgomery and Gibbs all game. And then whatever Ben Johnson decides to cook up. I know he's got some play. He's had 2 weeks now to kind of prepare for this. I know he's
gonna have a wildcat with Sewell.
Sewell, right? He's got some plays in the red zone. He's gonna be dialing up. I know he is.
Push with Sewell. That'd be crazy.
330 pounds. Like, who's gonna stop that? Like, come on.
The key to a lot of these games is really roughing these QBs up somehow.
Yeah,
remember when that used to be the number one key to the game? Used to be to get the quarterback unsettled, get the QB knocked around and beat up.
Take it back to the Ravens,
It has to be that. Because, I feel like that's the only way you can beat Detroit is to knock them off their rhythm. They're a very rhythm-oriented offense. And it starts with Jared Goff. And if you knock him off of his block, then, that offense just doesn't go the same. Even if you're not getting sacks, like just hitting him.
Yeah, QB hits.
Yeah. It goes for a lot of the games, but I think it's even more important in that particular offense, the way they run everything. So
yeah,
man.
But the thing is, Jared Goff is a check down king.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll throw it like that's
design check downs too. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Was it Montgomery gets a lot of receptions? I remember one game. I think I saw Jahmyr Gibbs with 5 receptions, David Montgomery with 6. He'll check it down.
And it will be a situation where Amon-Ra St. Brown will get 2 catches the entire game. Those are those kind of games. So he'll get 2 catches.
Yeah.
But he's still blocking downfield doing his thing. But no, I'll take it back to when the Ravens Super Bowl run when we played the Raiders. And Saragusa fell on was it Rich Gannon?
Rich Gannon.
Rich Gannon.
He ain't won no
was Rich Gannon.
The Rich Gannon and broke his arm. It fell on him and broke his arm, and that was it. It was a wrap after that. They could do nothing after that.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's I think it's a tale as old as time, regardless of how it is. If you can get the QB rattled or hit or whatever that may make them see ghosts in a playoff game, your chances of just going up to win that football game.
Yep.
All right, so Bills beat the Broncos. The Broncos scored early. They were up 7-0. Looked like, all right, maybe the Broncos might be here. That ended very quickly. That didn't last too long. And, the Bills just kind of ran through them, just did what they wanted to do. Everybody was excited. Everybody was happy. The Bills didn't really struggle too much in this football game. They were at home. DeMar Hamlin got a fake interception, whatever that was.
They called it. They called it back.
They called it back. Yeah, he took his helmet off and everything and celebrated in the stands, and they called it back. I love the memes they were put. It was Patrick Beverly throwing his jersey up, and it was I get it, man. It's fine. It's been how many years since the heart attack? Come on, man. Come on,
listen.
Come on.
Listen.
Come on.
Bills ain't do nothing in that game impressive to me, man.
None. Not at
That's
all.
what I'm saying.
It was more so the Broncos just didn't belong. They didn't belong. They have a rookie quarterback. I knew going into that game where it was they have a chance. They have a decent defense, but it was just they didn't belong on the field.
How many How many times did they get in the red zone and not score?
5 and only got one
Yeah.
score. It
Like,
was
come
a
on, man.
field goal.
Come on, man. There ain't really nothing to talk about in this game. Like, it was a very mid performance. I mean, the best part of the game was the 1 3rd and long where Josh Allen had to scramble a little bit and then threw the
Was it
ball in
Ty
the back
Johnson?
end zone to Ty Johnson. Outside of that, it was James Cook show and Josh Allen running around for a little bit. But outside of that, they ain't really show me nothing that I didn't think they could do against this Denver Broncos team. I did think that the Broncos had a solid chance of upsetting them, but the defense just didn't hold up, honestly. And offensively, they just couldn't get it going. I mean, the receiver play wasn't like the best in that game. Bo Nix, he had a few good passes that, were either dropped or, deflected. But like I said, it wasn't really. It was a lot to be desired in that game. Nobody impressed me on either side, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed at all. I mean, like Buffalo's a good team. Broncos, I mean, rookie quarterback in the playoffs. Um, and it's not like the Broncos have a bunch of playmakers. I mean, I think Cortland Sutton's a good number 2 receiver. They didn't have enough to match up. They hit that throw early. They had momentum, but they stalled out time and time and time again. And I think after they could not score, after they got the fake punt,
Mhm.
I think they were done at that point. The game was over at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew Buffalo had it in the bag because their morale with Denver went down, and they just could not make plays at all. Bo Nix could not make the big throw. His receivers couldn't catch the ball. They had nothing going for them the rest of the game after they did not score after the fake punt. So I don't look 1 for 5 in the red zone. Look, any other team is winning that game. Any other team in the playoffs is winning that game, and Buffalo plays like that. And yeah, I wasn't really impressed. Like, they let James Cook go crazy. They let James Cook go crazy. They let everybody actually go crazy. And it's just because they kind of gave up.
Yeah.
They gave up. But try that against us. Try that against us. It's not gonna happen. I'll say that for later.
And like Corey said, that missed field goal at the end of the half too.
Yeah. They were deflated. They gave up.
Yeah.
It's a young football team, and the guys don't really have a lot of playoff experience there. So it's like, Sean Payton. I think they'll be with some good players next year. The Broncos definitely could be. I'm not saying the Super Bowl contender, but they could compete fairly well. But again, it was one of those kind of warm up games for the Bills. It felt like. I will say the Ravens have done better jobs against better running backs. Defensively all season. Even with the passing game and how it's gone up and down, the one thing that's been standard for the Ravens is they've been able to stop the run. Like, they don't let anybody run on like that. Let's see. Let's go to, if we have any, Bells and Pookies for the week.
We starting with Bells.
Yeah, starting with Bells. I'll let you guys go first. Are there any Bells or Pookies this week?
My bell is going to be Jaden Daniels. I mean, first playoff game against a high-powered Buccaneers offense who has an amazing run game. Baker's been, pretty decent. I mean, he throws a lot of touchdowns, and Jaden, Jaden Daniels' first playoff game win just to go in there and get the dub alone is why he's my bell for this week. And just the way he played, the way he's running the ball, extending plays, making, passes that are just absolute dots week in, week out, but especially in this playoff atmosphere, is not something that everybody can do, especially not a rookie QB. Something that, Lamar had the opportunity to do when he was a rookie as well. So you know how hard it is to do. And also, they were the away team. They went up in Tampa Bay and did all of that. So I'm going to give it to Jaden Daniels for this week.
Cool. Adafe Owe. Give him to him. I'm just going to give it to the pass rush, but I'm going to start with Adafe Owe because we didn't do this segment last week, and I came prepared because look, when things were looking iffy and people were calling him a bust, look, I looked at it like this. That's my Raven, and I'm gonna stick beside him. And he has shown up, and he showed up in the playoff game and got a sack. Shout out to Mods, man. Matabuke. 2 sacks in the game. The pass rush was pretty cool. Granted, Russell Wilson, y'all heard the comment earlier. But yeah, I think we look real good with the pass rush. So I got to give credit to what's his name, Dr. Sack. For the work he's done. It's a collective effort, but yeah, super impressive with the pass rush. I'm gonna leave it there because I think Miles is gonna get the main one I was gonna get. So I'm gonna let that slide over.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking that too.
I'm gonna give my bell to Todd Monken. Let me get that to Todd Monken. That was a masterful offensive showing from everyone. Like just the game plan. 299 yards rushing. Again, everybody all week kept saying how this offense was just, I don't know what's gonna look like without Zay. I don't know what they're gonna do without Zay. And they just, I don't know. Like they out physicaled them. Like it's very hard to out physical the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? When you talk about how these teams play against each other and just the history and the hard hitting, the black and blue division as they call it, and the Ravens just went out there and they took the game from the Pittsburgh Steelers from the first quarter to the triple zeros on the clock. Derrick Henry with his stiff arm, Minka Fitzpatrick, Isaiah Likely playing basketball with Cam Sutton's head. Like, I mean, that was man got bounced off the ground. Got bounced. Like
slapped.
Like watching I think they showed some clips from where Ravens wired and stuff, and even the guys on the side, Ravens on the sideline were like, and they saw Isaiah Likely do that. Like, yeah, it was a phenomenal showing. Now again, we got to see it 2 weeks in a row. We got to see this 2 weeks in a row. I like the confidence that the Ravens had in this game. The Trey, you mentioned earlier that pass to Rashad Bateman in the back of the end zone. When they showed that clip from, I think on I think it was like field view or lower field view from where behind Lamar Jackson, and Lamar is literally looking at a spot. That's it. He's looking at a spot, and I guess he just throws it to a spot, and then you see Bateman roll over and catch that ball. I'm like, that's the difference now with Lamar Jackson, even 3-4 years ago. Like we saw Lamar Jackson, like, he has to throw to guys that are wide open. He can't really lead anybody, to a spot or throw them open, stuff like that. That was the kind of throw you want to see from Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. That's the throw you want to see. He throws to a spot. There's nobody there for like a second. And then as soon as the ball gets to the back of the end zone, you just see number 7 roll over and get the ball. Like, bam. That's gonna be my bell so Todd Monken in that offense, just calling a masterful game.
Yeah. And I guess we got to mention Derrick Henry, just
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I mean,
197.
A 30-year-old running back,
180 something.
30-year-old running back still running the way he's running.
Yeah.
And that look, just the meme, like the picture we saw of Derrick Henry running past Pat Queen, like that's gonna live in Ravens lore. Like that's just gonna live. Like I if I'm the Ravens, I would put that up somewhere in the castle. Just have P. Queen's face just all like dejected as he's running. He let him run past him. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to." I think also in that game, that one play where Lamar scrambles out of the pocket and he's getting I think he scrambles to get a first down. He runs out of bounds. Minka Fitzpatrick and I think another Steeler clearly had a chance to go tackle Lamar and they didn't. They just stopped running. They stopped. The play they just stopped.
Defeated.
They just stopped running. I heard several Steelers fans talk about that. So
look, we I feel like we beat them in a submission early. I think they had their little run, but I think after that they had nothing left. It's like that Whitney Houston song, like I have nothing. Nothing. Like they had nothing left, man. So.
Killed their spirit. Anyway, Pookies. Who are our Pookies this week?
Man, I might have to give it to this is tough because like I want to give it to Justin Herbert, but I shot him all that bail.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give it to Quentin Johnston again.
Yeah.
Way to close out the season, buddy. You went to the playoffs and you decided to get the drop seeds one more time. And what a moment for you to have that happen. Not that you were the reason why they lost, because just like the guys mentioned, Travis mentioned, your running game ain't been the best either. But maybe this Pookie is just surrounding the Chargers in general, because I just don't want to just put it all on Herbert because, he's still a young QB. But, that was just a god-awful game that they played as a team. 12 points. You can't put up 12 points against the Houston Texans, who's been reeling towards the end of that season. They came into the playoffs super, super cold, and you guys came into the playoffs super, super hot, and it just did not really make sense. And also, my parlays were pretty much screwed once the first half was over. So, my Pookie's going to the Chargers. I'm gonna leave Harbaugh alone in this one because what was he gonna do about it? I mean, we saw the plays. The plays weren't getting made. The running backs were running for like 2 yards a carry. It wasn't much they could have done. But I'm gonna go give it to Justin Herbert and most importantly Quentin Johnston and that Chargers organization for just a poor performance out there in Houston.
Well, I'm gonna give my Pookie to the Steelers DBs. We already talked about it. But man, one caught the 5 fingers to the face.
Yeah.
One got. Would you say, Miles? Like he was bouncing his head like a basketball.
Yeah.
Man, the DBs had a rough time, man, in Pittsburgh. So I get him a Pookie, man, because you can't let no man do you like that. I'm sorry. I know I'm a Ravens fan. But Steelers, y'all cannot let these guys do that to you. It's embarrassing. Have some pride, man. I know Mike Tomlin was shaking his head over there. I'm going to give my Pookie to the DBs. Hey, Corey, I like that one. I was going to use that one, but you posted it. But Deontay Johnson, 4 teams in a calendar year is crazy.
Crazy work.
Pookie, Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I was going to – that was going to be my Pookie anyway. Deontay Johnson.
Oh, my bad.
Fact that, he said it. No, he said it. I mean, like, look. I mean, he had the same issue in the Houston locker room after they won, and they said Nico Collins and I think another guy had to like calm him down. He was pissed off. Why didn't I play and all stuff? And they cut him. Like,
yeah,
he's not doing himself any favors going into 2025. I'll tell you that right.
Hey.
Not doing himself
the game.
Hey man, get on back here so we can get this comp pick up out of you.
Right, get this. We can't give him to the Super Bowl. We can't. You can't claim him to the Super Bowl. So I'm like, that's
got to deal with him. Just get a pick.
He get cut by 2 teams and play 1 snap between 2 teams.
One more honorable mention, man. Tony Romo, dog.
Yeah,
he was great when he first started. I'm getting sick of him now.
He was glazing Josh Allen off a dump off. I couldn't believe my ears. He said most quarterbacks wouldn't, get off my television, fam.
He was Krispy Kreming that man.
him and Chris Collinsworth. Krispy Kreme. Wow.
It was bad. It was bad. I was like, come on.
Him and Chris Collinsworth.
It was a dump off pass, dog. You would have thought he threw a dot from 100 yards away.
He threw the Lamar touchdown.
Look, right. That's what I was about to say. It ain't Lamar at Cincy.
Nope.
He ain't made no look pass.
All right, before we get out of here, Ravens versus Bills preview. So, cold game, 6:30 at night. I think the Ravens are wearing, if I'm mistaken, all white for this game. I think they're wearing all white. So, icy look for this game. It'd be nice if they had white helmets to go along with it, just to hold the whole look. It'd be nice if they had white helmets to go along with it. But anyway, this is going to be Lamar's coldest game. They're calling for like 8 degrees. I think feel like 8 degrees. They showed the stats. Lamar typically plays well in the cold weather games. He's got like a 109 passer rating or so. Like he does pretty well in these games. Last time they played the Bills, it was in 2020 in the playoffs. They ended up losing, 12-7 or something wild, something crazy like that. It was a very low scoring game. Lamar, obviously the big takeaway from that game was the pick 6 that he threw. So fast forward 5 years later, and here we are. This Bills team, yes, they're playing at home. Yes, they got, gonna be a little precipitation, but I think it's gonna affect the field. It's not gonna be on the field accumulation wise. They got Milano back. They didn't have him in the first game. They got a couple other guys back that didn't play against the Ravens in that first game in like week 3. But at the same time, I just think that the way the Ravens play football, and you look at how the Bills got prepared for this playoff push versus how the Ravens did. The Ravens went through a gauntlet for 5 weeks. They went through a gauntlet for 5 weeks. The Bills ended the season playing the Patriots, Jets, Patriots. That's how they ended the season. Didn't really prepare for this, getting ready for this game, and then the Broncos didn't help either. So now they got to go play. Now, the last team they played like this that had a good running game was Detroit, and they ended up beating Detroit, but they also gave up, was it 40? I think they gave up 40 points in that game. Then they won 45-42. So they gave up a lot of points. And the only reason is Detroit's defense is just trash, only because of how many guys are on injured reserve. They've gotten better because they worked scheme and everything else, but around that time period, the Detroit Lions are remember, guys are falling off left and right. We don't know what to do here. So the fact that Detroit hung up 40-plus points on that Bills defense, and I think they said the Bills are averaging 23 points a game on defense to teams, while the Ravens over this last stretch have only given up 14. I think it's 13.8 or something like that. But they've only given up over 14 points in this stretch. The way the Ravens are running the football right now with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, it looks like Zay's probably not going to play again this week. But with the way they've been running, Isaiah Likely, you got Mark Andrews, they got Kolar, they got Nelson Aguilar involved a little bit, Tylan Wallace, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens run another 250, 275 in this game. I just don't think that defensive line for the Bills can stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. They couldn't do it week 3. And that's the same line they're going against now in the divisional round. And you saw what Derrick Henry did even in the first quarter against the Bills. It's going to be a much better defense, I think, it was a weird thing that happened when it did in week 3, because the Ravens defense at that point was their best game of the entire season. And they kind of were trash for the next 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. But now they made some adjustments, and they look a lot better than they did even in week 3, I think. They're getting pressure from Owe, getting pressure from Kyle Van Noy. Madubuike and Michael Pierce are getting pressure in the interior as well. The linebacking play has been really good. Malik Harrison is doing a phenomenal job. Roquan has looked a lot better since they made that adjustment in the secondary with Kyle Hamilton, and he can kind of just play his area and not have to worry about it anymore. I also think that the secondary has been doing a really good job tackling. They're doing a phenomenal job tackling right now. Darius Washington, of course, being the main leader of that as well. So I just think that I do expect a good game, but I just think that this is that kind of game where if the Ravens win the coin toss, I expect the Ravens to take the ball. First drive, go down the field, score. And this game is going to come down to, I think, just what quarterback is going to commit less turnovers. Who's going to turn the ball over? Somebody's going to turn the ball over, I feel like, in this game. As cold as it's going to be, somebody's going to turn the ball over. Who's going to do it? And can the Ravens continue to do a good job of not letting penalties define their game? If the Ravens can stay penalty-free and not turn the ball over, those two main things, I think the Ravens win this thing easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think number one thing, Ravens can't beat the Ravens. Just like you said, we cannot kill ourselves with penalties. We cannot kill ourselves getting behind the sticks and starting off, first and long, second and long, third and long. We just can't have that. We noticed that we've been doing a lot better with that in these last few weeks. I mean, penalty wise, I think the last game we had maybe a couple false starts. But outside of that, we've been relatively clean when it comes to penalties, even in the secondary on defense and everything. So we got to kind of keep that up. But I think we're going to set some records this week. Honestly, I think what we get 299 last week. I think we're going to probably get close to that, if not more. I don't know how many teams in playoff history have run for close to 300 yards in multiple games in the
600
playoffs.
yards in 2 games.
Yeah, I think we're going to set some type of similar record like that, man. I think the game plan has to remain the same. I think maybe some of the run concepts they might vary a little bit just because we know the Bills are going to be watching film. You know, they're probably not going to play it the way the Steelers played it with, you know, how TJ Watt was just crashing down on Henry every single play, no matter what Lamar did. That was just kind of their method of madness, which, you know, I don't know if I understood that, because now you're putting Lamar one-on-one against, you know, safeties and things like that. Like, I don't, you know, you can try your luck with Lamar versus DeMar Hamlin if you want, but I don't think that's the scope that y'all want. So I don't know what they're going to do as far as, you know, film and adjustments, but we can't expect them to come out with the same plan that the Pittsburgh had. But, you know, I don't think it's going to matter what they come out with, man. I think the Ravens offense is just too strong right now. If we're able to come out in a similar fashion that we did with Pittsburgh, just as far as just, you know, letting the Steelers know we're running that ball, and I mean letting the Bills know we're running the ball and there's nothing y'all can do about it, I think we'll have success, man. The offensive line has been playing lights out for us, right? Rosengarten has been looking phenomenal. Even Daniel Falele, like, I've seen him on tape in this last game. He looked crazy. Like, even whether it's him, you know, assisting with a double team, him one-on-one, he's, you know, everybody's been doing their job. And this Bills defense is more undersized than the Steelers. Mm-hmm. So I don't see, you know, how, you know, this is a game that they can't dominate. I just think we have to dominate them in the trenches once again. And if we do that, everything else is going to take care of itself. Derrick Henry going to be Derrick Henry. We just kind of have to stick with the game plan no matter how the game's going. And we need to get Rashad Bateman a touchdown. That seems to be the formula.
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman scores a touchdown, we win the game. I don't know, you know, why. I don't know how, but if we get him in the end zone, I think we look good. I mean, Zay being out, obviously he's a pivotal piece for us, but, you know, even before he went out, Bateman, his game was elevating before Zay even went down in a perfect time. So, like, timing is everything, and for whatever reason, it seemed like the timing has been clicking on all cylinders for Baltimore. And, you know, the game plan is simple: run the ball, and play action when we need to. But as long as we're getting them second and shorts, third and shorts, that's it.
The game right there.
That's it. The games that we're struggling is the games where we constantly find ourselves 2nd and 15, 3rd and 10. I mean, 1st and 15 to start a drive, 1st and 20 to start a drive, because of, like, those are the games where we seem to struggle. So if we stay away from that, we'll be fine. In defense, play very disciplined. Brandon Stevens, I don't know what you got to do this week, but you gotta figure it out. You know, don't press. If you can't, if you're going to get beat, don't press. Locate the football. We say it every week, you know, easier said than done, but, you know, your task should not be that difficult this week. It shouldn't be that difficult.
There's no Pickens out there, right? Yeah, no Pickens.
No George Pickens out there. There's no, like, real man beaters out there that you should have to worry about. Pause. But I mean, you gotta stay disciplined and do your job, man. You gotta stay in your coverages, whatever it may be. But I'm not really worried about anybody else. We already know our Darius Washington going to do his thing. We know Kyle Hamilton going to do his thing. And we know those guys in the trenches have been having hell of a games these last few weeks. So, you know, keep the main thing, run the ball, play disciplined defense. We're going to be fine.
Yeah. You know, all these talking heads keep talking about that this is a different Bills team. This is a freaking different Ravens team. Look, if we make it to the Super Bowl, I'm going to give John Harbaugh a bell. For all the things he does wrong, that man was right about this offensive line. He was right about Falafel and Rosengarten. He said, just stick with it. They're going to grow. And, man, does Rosengarten look like a future All-Pro.
Yeah.
Look, what are they going to do with them? What is Von Miller going to do with Rosengarten?
Yeah, you know, TJ Watt can't get past it. I'm like,
what are those D tackles about to do with Falele? Look, Falele going to shovel the snow. He's going to shovel the snow on out of there. So, look, the Bills are a small defense. We are a big offensive line. They are in for a world of trouble. I'm telling you, DeMar Hamlin's going to come down in that box, Derrick Henry's going to give him another.
He gonna do what?
DeMar Hamlin is going to come down to make a tackle, and Derrick Henry is going to send him into cardiac arrest again.
Oh,
all right, that was too far. That was too far.
This is it. Yeah,
hey man.
I'm just saying. Look. They don't want any problems with this team. All right. So I think, like you said, man, we run the ball. If we have a solid game plan just to put the ball in Derrick Henry's hands. I love the fact that Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry were kind of in tandem early. And we didn't see that too much during the season. You know, what Lamar had, 6 carries in the first couple drives. Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry had a bunch of carries. We haven't seen them in tandem. It's usually like, one gets going in one drive, one gets going in another drive, but in tandem, it's scary. It's scary. And I want to see what the Bills' response is going to be to that, because I think we can control the time possession. If we control the time possession, I think the game's over.
Yeah.
Because say what you want about James Cook. James Cook ain't running for 100-something yards on us.
No.
No, he's not doing that. And look, Brandon Stevens, like you said, he ain't going against George Pickens this week. He's going against the dumber George Pickens, which is Keon Coleman. The dumber, less talented George Pickens. So I don't see a lot of threats. I mean, my only concern offensively, to be honest, is the little slot receiver Shakur.
Yeah.
Not even scared of Amari Cooper
or Mac Hollins.
Just Josh Allen running out the pocket. I'm a little worried about that, but
yeah, I could be worried about that and him launching it down the field. But hey, I'm hoping we send Roquan down on the blitz, knock the stuffing out of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So I think we run the ball. I love the strategy, running the ball 40 to 50 times. This is the perfect weather for it. Let Lamar get his 15 to 20 pass attempts, high efficiency throws, and just let him do his thing. I think that's the key. Defensively, just be physical. Like, I gotta say this because we're on a pause roll, so I'm gonna watch my words. Josh Allen needs to feel every tackle. He needs to feel every tackle. Like, he should walk away sore after the first quarter. Yeah. Pause. Like we gotta apply pressure. We gotta be physical. We can out physical the Bills. They may be a cold weather team, but I don't see them as a physical team.
Yeah.
So I think if we're physical with them defensively, I think their offense can put up some points. But I don't think they can. I don't think they're going to be able to hang tight with us. So.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think the keep the main thing for the Ravens, right? What we saw, and I was telling this to a friend of mine at work, that what I think we said this before in that Chiefs AFC Championship game, it felt like Harbaugh and Lamar were chasing a narrative, trying to win a game for Lamar passing. Like were trying to show the world and NFL world, look, Lamar can win by throwing the football. I think this year, hopefully, it seems like, forget all the narratives. Go win the championship, wherever that means, or how you have to do it. If that means this week again, you got to run for 13 times and run for 100 or 80 yards. I think he had 80 yards last week. If you got to run for 87 to 90 yards, that is what it is. If we get to the Chiefs game and you can throw for 250, 260, fine. But we got to win the football game. By any means, that's win the football game. And like you said, Travis, physicality. Like, I want to see almost every time that when Josh Allen is getting off the ground, like he's wincing. Like he's just like he's doing like that. Like he needs to be wincing when he gets off the ground. He's got to be making business decisions after a while. Like, I want him making business decisions. Like, he's not even going to take off or he's going to run out of bounds after 1 yard. Like, nah, I don't want that smoke. I don't want that smoke. So keep the physicality. Just keep it like that. And look, the Bills crowd's going to be loud. Ravens got, they've been playing well on the road this year. Take the crowd out of it. I think Lamar and them can do that. And I think, again, it feels like the post-game stuff that we've seen from the locker room, the interviews Lamar has had recently, it feels like they're locked in. It feels Harbaugh seems like he's locked in. Again, he's staying out of the way. It seems like he's just not getting involved in a lot. He's just like, I'm just going to stay back. I'm just going to chill and let Lamar, Zach, and all the rest of those guys do their thing out there. So, all right. Before we get out of here, what is the outcome? What's the score?
If it go the way I think it's going to go, I think I'm going to predict. 30 to 30, 30 to 20, 30-20 Ravens in Buffalo.
I think we dominate the ball. Run the ball. 24-14 Ravens.
I think it's going to be 27-20 Ravens. And I'm not saying it's going to be close. I think it's going to be one of those situations where the Ravens are just up and the Bills are time is running out. They're trying to play catch up. There's just not enough time left on the clock for them to win. I think that's what it's going to be. They're going to get like a cheap touchdown at the end, but the Ravens will win this one handily in this game.
Yeah.
So.
I hope we put 40 up just like Corey said.
I hope. But that'd be nice.
We put 40 up on them, man.
Win the football game.
Look, we gotta bring shots to the pod next week.
Yeah.
Nah, we only do that if they get the AFC Championship game. If they win the AFC Championship game, then we do that. I'm not celebrating.
I was down to bring a full bottle if we did that. So
okay.
just go the whole pod.
You passed out before the pod's even over.
Hey man,
right.
Now if they win the Super Bowl, we passing out on the post Super Bowl pod.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fact.
Yeah. I'm not going into work the next day. I already know that if they can win the Super Bowl, get off.
Take care of these Bills, man.
Yeah. That's it from us. Hopefully the Ravens, win this game. What else do you usually say? Pull it out? What do they pull it out?
I hope everybody pulls it out.
Pulls it out. No need to make mistakes in 2025. Pull it out. So hope the Ravens win this game, move on to the AFC Championship game, whoever that may be. The Texans or the Chiefs. Ravens just got to handle their business on Sunday night. Do their thing. Keep the main thing. Play Ravens football. Be physical. Let Lamar be Lamar. That's it. So that's it from us. We'll catch you guys next week. So peace.
Peace.